Open source is the key today. Everybody is interested in getting the open source. And while I was talking of the IoT architecture using the open source, there are plethora of IoT softwares, the open source softwares, using the open standards, making the complete architecture successful. Having said so, the security is always a challenge for them, right? How do you secure them? How do you plug the vulnerabilities of them? Equifax was one of the classic case where, we were not able to identify when the hackers got in, and they were able to identify the vulnerability and cause the damage of 143 million people data. So these are the kind of vulnerabilities which we need to identify. Who's going to take care of those cybersecurity issues? Because open source is being developed by a community, and hackers are completely eyeing on those community softwares with so many lines of code. So that's a challenge. So to keep the win-win situation, we have to be very much cyber aware to plug in the vulnerability as and when it comes. Because if any vulnerability is there, if there is a threat in any open source code lines, somebody has to really take care of it to plug it. That's what I feel. We have to imbibe open source softwares, we have to imbibe open standards, and also we need to take care of the cybersecurity in total.
Before coming to the event, I was not knowing that government is very focused on promoting open source within the government establishment, and I was positively surprised that this particular government is doing a lot of things to promote open source within various government departments, and it is also bringing a lot of cost saving, because instead of building the same app 25 or 30 times in every state, now the same code can be reused multiple times within different states. So a lot of cost saving as well as lot of synergies are happening due to open source in government.
There is a revolution happening on the open source stack, and mind are kind of a diverging, mind are getting into a collaborative approach, which will definitely help us to deliver fast, to deliver more, to reach to the masses quickly, right? And to give a replicating factor, because one of the major or one of the major problematic area we realize that even a program like, let's say, passport, income tax, railway, there are big success, but we are not able to replicate fast. And open source is one of the boon kind of for us in terms of a platform, in terms of software, which can help us replicate fast.
Yeah, it's good to collaborate with so many people. That is fundamental to open source. I could get many links so that we can work with them for future endeavors.
The way this community is looking to evolve, it's no longer what I am doing, but what we can do together. There were panelists who talked about what they are doing in the open source world, but more importantly, the takeaway for me was what we are trying to do together as a community, as a champion of open source, as well as how we can use open source to change the narrative for IT, which can impact citizens.
We're talking about open source now, and open source consumption is right now around 80%, and most of the organizations confuse open source with freeware. So this is, I think, what Bharat Exhibitions is doing, is trying to get a focus back and saying, what open source do you consume, right? And in terms of technology, what I'm seeing right now is, in the past 1.5 hours, we've seen people talking about how open source consumption can help in IoT and moving into the next generation. So it's more of like a focused activity where organizations can learn about how to consume open source, but at the same time manage open source in a secured manner.
Debate about open source and open standard continues. Now, it is not that the open source is the only answer or open standard is the only answer. It's the merits of the project which determines the merit. So I think it's a very opportune time that when such a discussion and deliberations are happening with an open mind among all the stakeholders, I think is a very welcome move. So I really congratulate the organizing team, and I thank for bringing me here. Thank you very much.
For more updates from CXO TV, please like and subscribe to our channel.